What's up, guys, and welcome back to 10-minute tutorials. And today I'm going to teach you guys how to get your first IT job and also how to work your way up into cybersecurity. Okay, so first things first, there is a difference in cybersecurity versus IT. Now, the reason I say that is because you can go into a million different paths in IT, but cybersecurity is very specific and very spearheaded. It's aimed at one thing, and that is security. It's not aimed at all of the infrastructure stuff. It's not aimed at the application development, all that stuff. Okay, so keep that in mind when you're creating a resume for a cybersecurity job, and that's what we're going to cover here. Because the first thing I can tell you when you're looking to get into IT or cybersecurity is your resume. Now, a lot of people always ask me, what should go on my resume? I don't have that much experience, blah 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 blah. Okay, that's great. A resume is to get you through the HR department. Understand that. A resume is to get you through there. Now, when I say that, usually someone applies for a company. If it's a large company, there's going to be an HR department. The HR department looks at all of your resumes. There's going to be hundreds of them. And they're going to say, what keywords do we have here that match what the job description is? So what that tells me is, look at the job description. If it says, hey, you need to have Apache experience, maybe you don't have a lot of experience with it. Maybe you aren't, a professional in Apache, but you are familiar with it. You know what it is. You know how to work it a little bit. Put that in your resume that you are proficient or that you understand Apache, because those are the words they're looking for. They're going to look for the job posting and your resume and see if the things match up, because if you have the experience. Now, the other common thing I get a lot with resumes is I get a lot of people that say, well, I'm not 100% on that. I'm not an expert in that, so I shouldn't put it on my resume. That's not true. You should put everything you're familiar with and everything you understand on your resume if it pertains to the job. Now, here's some examples. Here is a cybersecurity analyst resume. Now, what I'm going to tell you guys is, when building your resume, it's to get your way through the door. So make it catch someone's eye. These don't catch people's eye, in my opinion, and this is not how I would put my resume. Now, the information's there. I like the layout, but make it a little bit more vibrant. Make it a little bit different, and I'll show you what I mean by that. The other thing I'll tell you is, in cybersecurity specifically, the resume is different, okay? These past jobs, or whatever they want to say, I don't do it this way, and I've had plenty of good opportunities based on my resume. So I don't put just all the jobs like this and then list my responsibilities. I put a brief thing about where I worked, what time frame I worked, like this, and then maybe a small little snippet about what the job entails. But then I have an entire page that is a section of my skill sets, what I'm proficient in, what I'm comfortable with, what I'm certified in, all these different things. And the reason for that is because I don't really care where you worked before. I care how many years experience you have, but I don't care what company it was for. I care when I'm hiring someone at my company, I'm looking at what certs you have, what you're proficient in and what you're comfortable with. So if you put on if you put on your resume that you are an expert in Linux, I'm going to ask you expert level questions in the interview. If you put in there that you're comfortable with Linux, I'm going to ask you comfort questions on Linux, how to get around, those type of things. I'm going to ask you about your resume, but I'm also going to just see if you're lying, right? So don't lie. Don't say I'm familiar with this if you have no idea what it is. Say I'm familiar with this if you've seen it, if you could get around in it. If, for instance, if you are familiar with SolarWinds or Nessus, but you haven't really ran scans yourself, you just have seen the dashboards and you know how to run a report or something, that's fine. Say that, because that is what you're looking for. I would much rather find someone that says, I could get around in this and I could do what you need me to do. It might take me a little bit to get familiar with it again, but I could get around in there. That's what I'm looking for in a job interview. So with the resume part out of the way, here's what I'm saying. You can see these are good examples of what a good resume should look like, right? First dot last, professional experience, education, and skills. Now you see they listed their skills in a small little area down here. I wouldn't do that. I would make my skills big and then my professional experience low. The reason for that is because I care more about your skill set than I do your professional experience, because there are high schoolers nowadays that are better programmers than programmers that have been programmed for 20 years. The reason for that is because certain people learn at certain different levels, okay? So I'm more interested in what you know and less about how much experience you have. Now, I will say you need experience. And the reason for this is because enterprise systems are different than regular workstations, okay? So that's huge. The reason I say that is because you will need experience. So here is an example of that exact resume that I just showed you, pretty much close to. And here's an example of it looking good, okay? And you see here on the right, they have their skills and they have how proficient they are. That is what I'm looking for in a resume. I'm looking for how proficient you are, okay? That is huge. Now, another thing I'm going to tell you, you need to have a good LinkedIn profile, okay? A good LinkedIn profile, meaning your profile looks professional. You have a good, professional group on there. You're not posting silly stuff. You're posting things that are important to cyber, important to IT, okay? Also, the other thing with LinkedIn is they actually allow you to take tests on there to show your proficiency in different skill sets. Take those tests. If you're familiar with Linux, take Linux, upload it on there. There you go. You now have proof that you're good at Linux. Another big thing, for instance, YouTube, right? I have an entire backlog of videos on my YouTube that prove that I can do certain things, right? So if someone says, can you prove to me that you can do this? Yes, I can. Even soft skills, even if I can prove, hey, I am good at speaking, and they say, well, how can you prove that? Well, here is 150 hours of me speaking to a camera, to an audience, and showing that I'm good at it, right? That is a soft skill that is huge, right? All that stuff, leadership skills. If you have led a team in even a totally different industry, but you led that team, go for it, right? So these are some of the skill sets that you want to sell yourself in an interview. But the other big thing, there's two big things that I see common misconceptions that I see in IT interviews. One, not just in interviews, in applying for positions. Number one, I see a lot of people say, this is a great job, but I'm underqualified. I don't care if I'm underqualified. I'm going to apply for that job. Why? If I know the skill set, if I have the skill set. So for instance, if it's a pen testing job, but they say you need 20 years pen testing experience, but you're an expert level pen tester and you know that, but you only have 15 years, put in for it. Because there's so few niche markets out there where there's not many pen testers with 20 years experience. So they may not get one. You may be the most experienced pen tester they have. So put in for it, okay? The other common misconception I get is a lot of people think I'm going to go to college and I'm going to get an entry-level cyber position. Entry-level cyber positions are few and far between. And there's a reason for it. Because I'm trusting you with the cybersecurity, with the security of my entire company. I at least need proof that you know IT, right? I can teach you security. I can teach you that mindset, that skill set. You can get certs to prove that. But I need you to prove that you've worked in an environment like this, in an enterprise level environment, and you've worked with hundreds, if not thousands of servers at a time, and you're proficient in that. That's where the experience comes in. That's why companies want experience. So first thing to do, start getting experience. If you're just out of college or something like that, I don't care if you're going to make less money, right? You might make $40,000 being a help desk technician, or you might make $60,000 being a security admin, or a system administrator, or a network administrator, whatever. You might not make that much doing it. Do it. The reason is you can do it for a year, you can do it for 2 years, you can move your way up through the company, or you can do it for a couple of years and start applying for other jobs, because now you have experience. Now you're working in an experienced environment and have that on your resume. Even if you say, well, I haven't been in a security position before, but as a system administrator, I often would, look at logs, and I would often look for indicators of compromise. Just using that terminology while talking in an interview shows that you know what you're talking about, and it shows that you have the experience to back it up. So that is it, guys. That is all the keys I would say to get an IT job. Start low. And when I say low, I don't mean don't know your worth. Know your worth, but you need experience. You just have to have it. A lot of people try to get around it. You have to have it. The other thing is get your resume good and match it with the job description so that you get through HR, because once you're through HR, you're on the interview, then sell yourself in that interview and show your proficiency in it. Be able to back yourself up and be confident and comfortable with the questions. That's it, guys. That was 10 minutes. I hope this helps you guys, and thank you guys so much. We reached 1,000. Thank you so much for all the subs and the support. Let's try and keep it going, guys. Thank you. Have a great day.